Okay, we are here, and I am with Coach Derrin Moore of Brown Girls Do Gymnastics, and that is quite an interesting name. And
Mhm.
well, first of all, thank you for joining us, and that's quite an interesting name. Can you tell us a little bit about Brown Girls Do Gymnastics as an organization?
Yes, thank you for having me. We are an advocacy organization. We help brown and black girls through their acrobatic careers. So that can be gymnastics, circus, and different types of gymnastics. That's us in a nutshell, but we have quite a few programs that we run through Brown Girls Do Gymnastics.
Now, when you say an advocacy organization,
Mhm.
um, what kind of activities do you get involved in that helps brown girls involved in gymnastics?
Yeah, we our biggest event, I guess, is our conference. We have an annual conference that we've had for five. Well, this will be our fifth year. I always forget. We had a virtual one last year, so I always forget to like add that. But we have a conference every year. We bring the girls and parents into this conference, and they both learn about the ins and outs of gymnastics, which they wouldn't necessarily learn about just being in gymnastics. But that's one way that we advocate because generationally, Black and brown folks haven't done gymnastics in the US. So we're kind of filling that gap for people. We also have a committee of judges who help when it comes to there may be some discrepancy with the score, and so our judges can help with that. We do workshops throughout the year for parents just to learn about like how the scoring works and where their kids should be in what levels. And we also stand up for Black and brown gymnasts and professionals in the sport. So if there's, we've had situations where judges, the so in I'm in Georgia. We have a lot of Black judges in Georgia, which is great. But in a lot of other states, there aren't many. I believe it's Region 3, don't quote me. The Midwest, there are, I think, three is what they said, Black gymnasts, and that's not just one state. And so we've had situations where they're not listened to, and so we, you know, help in that way, go in and lend our voices to folks in that way.
Very good, very good. Now, before I transition to another question, how did you come up with this business model, so to speak? It certainly is a need, but how did you come to this?
It kind of found me. So we partner with another organization called Brown Girls Do Ballet. They were first as far as the Brown Girls Do. They're different from us in the sense that the founder of Brown Girls Do Ballet is a photographer, and so her platform is um, it's more it's to get the word out that there aren't a lot of Black and brown people that do ballet, but it's in more of a social media type platform. For us, so I reached out to her and she asked what should she do different one year, the 2015 when we started. And I chimed in and was like, well, you should start a gymnastics one. And she said, oh no, you do it, basically. And so I did, and we took a different direction because I'm actually a gymnastics coach, and since she's not a dancer, hers went one direction and mine went another. So that kind of, does that answer your question, sort of?
You did, and of course, it leads to another question. You obviously have a gymnastics background, so you've been involved in the industry for years.
Yeah.
How have you seen it change over the years that you've been involved? Is it becoming more inclusive? Is it becoming more diverse?
Yes, it's becoming more inclusive and diverse in some ways, and in some areas. So gymnastics, what most people see in gymnastics is the elite gymnast, or they see the Olympics. But gymnastics is a recreational sport. It's for fun for people. There's club gymnastics is what we call it, and that's private gyms. And then there's collegiate gymnastics, and then elite, which is what you see in the Olympics. So in the Olympics, you know, Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, those girls are the best in the world. And so when people see them, then they assume that gymnastics is diverse, because they're the, you know, well, Gabby Douglas 2012, and then Simone 2016. So people assume, but it's just not the case. When it comes down to recreational gymnastics and club gymnastics, you still don't see a lot of Black and brown faces. So yes and no. The governing body of gymnastics in the United States is starting to, I think they were, I know they were aware, but I think they're becoming more willing to talk about gymnastics not being diverse. So that's helped, you know, the top down kind of thing. It helps to bring the word to other people that just because you see Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles, that's not, that, you know, doesn't mean the sport is diverse, you know.
So there's still a lot of work to do.
There's a
Um,
lot of
in,
work to do. Yeah.
yeah, on not in the areas that are not so visible to
Right.
the general public.
Yeah.
Um, what about opportunities in what we would consider, I guess, as a sector, sport entertainment? You've approached this as a social need, but also a business. But and you're a gymnast. What about sport entertainment opportunities in this sector? How have you seen that? How is that changing?
Um, So when I think entertainment, I think a few things like broadcasting, performance. So and then of course my mind kind of sticks to gymnastics. Um, as far as entertainment for, so when the girls, and I say girls loosely, they could be college gymnasts. But when they're starting to leave the sport of gymnastics, I think the opportunity has always been you coach. But now, because you see other black professionals in sports outside of just participating, um, I think those are avenues for people. So actually, one of our, we have a segment that we do called Gym Talk, and the host that leads that is a Black former gymnast, and she does she calls a lot of meets, which we didn't see before. So she's a Black young lady who went to UCLA. She's doing that. Cirque du Soleil used to be, and it still isn't very diverse when it comes to Black and brown folks. It is with people around the world, but Cirque du Soleil is starting to reach out to more Black and brown folks. So there's acrobatics and aerial and that kind of thing that you can do as far as entertainment is concerned. I think it's the thing that people say a lot, especially now, like representation matters. Now that folks are starting to see that, you know, there are Black people who can do these things, and outside of like just physically moving, like we can speak, you know, and we can act. So I think that it's broadening for us in that way, because we're being seen as more than just, you know, a horse. Like we can do more than just our bodies.
Okay, excellent. So it's really creating, I guess, more inroads to opportunity that are outside just the performance aspect of the sport itself.
Yep.
But in all
Oh,
of the,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even judging. So there's judging has a tier. So there's club judges, like nationally accredited judges, and then there's collegiate judges and brevet judges. You never see, well, you never used to see Black collegiate judges. Now you're seeing Black collegiate, even young people. Actually, a girl that I used to coach is a collegiate judge now. And then brevet judges, that's it. That's judging for elite gymnastics. And what people used to say is, if you were not an elite gymnast, if you didn't travel around the world doing gymnastics, you'll never be a brevet judge. That is starting to change. And I think it's one of those things that's like, you have to be in the club, you know? But because they're seeing that, you know, we're everywhere now. So Black folks are starting to get those opportunities too. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. And I'm assuming that many of those are paid opportunities. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's a revenue stream in the terms
Yeah.
of being an entrepreneur. How do you see now? You obviously are in a sector, you're in a sport, you've created a business model around it. How can the HBCU community help you in terms of advancing that as a wonderful aspirational goal and a lane that I don't think people are considering? How can the HBCU community help?
Well, actually, one of our huge campaigns right now is to bring gymnastics to HBCUs. There are no HBCUs that have gymnastics, which is it's heartbreaking. So the girls are having to choose between competing collegiately or going to an HBCU. Some people are choosing one, some people are choosing the other. One way that HBCUs can help is by listening and being open. We have ways that we can help fund a whole program for HBCUs if they will listen and if they will be open to sports that are not, non-traditional sports like gymnastics. So listening ear would be great.
Well, that's an educational opportunity, and I really applaud you in this moment, being in a space where there's a huge need and a huge opportunity. And let me help bring it full circle in terms of HBCU administrators who may be listening. Enrollment opportunities. Yes, for young people who are making decisions to go elsewhere because they don't have the opportunity at an HBCU. So, administrators, I hope you hear me. Excuse me. One last question, I think. Now, you are in a sport, in an industry, have a business model, but you are truly an entrepreneur in the sense of what I believe entrepreneurs are today. People who have multiple streams of income and are developing businesses and even different sectors that may not even seem related to one of others. And I do know about an entity called Cooper Roads. Tell us about Cooper Roads.
My son's head just poked up. Cooper Rose is a eco-friendly baby brand. And it's actually named after my son, Cooper, and my grandmother, Rosa. So when you said Cooper Rose, that's why his head popped up. But we sell all essential baby products in a reusable form. So diapers, we have cloth diapers, reusable nursing pads, traditional baby carriers. I am missing something, I always am. Apparel, we have eco-friendly apparel also.
Now, this has taken you into the manufacturing sector.
Yes.
Say something about your journey in manufacturing.
Woo-wee. It's been a journey. When we started, so I wanted to just, similar, I guess, to Brown Girls, I wanted to get the word out that a lot of Black and brown folks weren't cloth diapering. And so the first thing I thought was just get mass-produced diapers and make them, like, customize them to appeal to Black and brown folks. And so I went to China, or didn't go to China. I contacted folks in China and got mass-produced diapers and added on the bottom brown and bougie, and then another one was young, gifted, and brown. And that went well. But for me, because it was an eco-friendly brand, I wanted to be eco-friendly. And so going to, getting mass-produced diapers, although they were reusable, they weren't really eco-friendly. So I started looking for small batch manufacturers in the United States. And it's very difficult to find a small batch manufacturer who wants to work with a product that's not something that they're used to working with, that that someone that can do contract manufacturing. So you get the fabric and you take it to them. Get patterns made, finding the eco-friendly fabric in the United States, like all parts of it. It was very difficult. Now I do have 2 small batch manufacturers that I work with in the United States. One of the other things that I really wanted was to work with a Black small batch manufacturer, and that was almost impossible. But I do have one now. So I had to kind of, you know, choose between 2 evils, I guess they say. I didn't want to put Cooper Rose on hold, so I did move forward with a small batch manufacturer who was non-Black, which was okay. And
Yeah,
she
yeah.
fine, you know. It's always nice to be able to, you know, support Black folks.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. I am so intrigued by all of it, not only the sport entertainment aspect of it, but the entry of Black and brown people into the manufacturing sector. And because we have relationships with maker spaces, and because of our relationship with the Urban Manufacturing Alliance, who Lee Wellington is our keynote speaker for the second day of this conference. We are very much interested, and I'm just going to say, Coppin State University is going to solve all of your problems going forward in terms of the intersection of manufacturing, small batch manufacturing, African-American entrepreneur, and the need to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Our time has come to an end. I promised you it would go quickly. Now we've been introduced to Cooper. We know Mr. Cooper, who made his presence known. But thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon.
Okay, thank you.